hasta ahí ese paso lo llama y ánimo a la guarda. ¡Ay, qué bonito!
Hi, this is George Torok. We're in Socorro, Texas today for a Gran Charreada. We'll be talking with radio personality Jose Luis Garcia on Along the Rio Grande. Welcome once again to Along the Rio Grande. I'm George Torok. And a few weeks ago, Mr. Trinidad Lopez, who is a councilman with the city of Socorro and also one of my students here at El Paso Community College, invited us out to a charreada. It was hosted by the Mission Valley Steering Committee, and it was to honor Senator Eliot Shapleigh for all the work that he's been doing in promoting and developing the Lower Valley. We spoke with Trini Lopez, and we spoke with Senator Shapleigh, and we were joined by Blanca Cano and KBNA radio personality Jose Luis Garcia. They told us all about the charreada tradition and explained a lot of the events that we were seeing. So let's take a look at some of the fun and the excitement of the charreada here today on Along the Rio Grande. We're here talking with Mr. Trinidad Lopez, Trini, who is a councilman with the city of Socorro and also chair of economic development with the Mission Valley Steering Committee. And can you tell us about this event that's taking place here today?
It's my pleasure, sir. This event that is taking place right now here in the city of Socorro is to honor the Senator Eliot Shapleigh from the state of Texas that gave us a big support when we went to Austin to present to several institutions of the state about our 5 priorities that we have over here in the valley, and he gave us a big support, and Mission Valley Steering Committee is honoring him with this charreada.
What kinds of things is the Mission Valley Steering Committee involved in? What are these priorities that you're working on?
We have five priorities according with the statement of the people of the whole valley, including people from Tornillo all the way to Isleta. And the 5 priorities that they come up with is transportation, health, economic development, education, and housing. And we are working on those issues. We are about to present a plan of action to legislature in the state next year. And the senator is giving us a very big support, and he is up to present those 5 priorities in Austin, so we can have some type of good news for the people of the valley.
Now, we expect a lot of changes in the valley over the next few years. What kinds of things are anticipated? A lot of growth here, right?
A lot of things are anticipated. We're just up to start a program that these people from economic development in Texas, they came already and they present a study, and we are just about to receive the results of such study, and so we can approach and have some form of action, so we can go ahead and do something for the benefit of our people.
Sure. We're going to have a lot of population growth in the area, and that's why transportation and jobs and economic development is all an important part of it.
No doubt about it. This is the more rapid growth that we are representing, that we are experiencing here in the whole county. In several counties of the state.
This is the place where it's really happening, right? This is where the big increases are.
Right here. This is, as you can see, and every day you read on the newspaper how much people is coming here. And what about the big needs of water and more services and all those priorities that we are just mentioned?
Well, that's great, and I hope the Mission Valley Steering Committee continues with its work and helps out the Valley, and we want to thank you for stopping by and telling us a little bit about it today. We've got to get back to the festivities. There's all kinds of events going on. Thank you for taking a few minutes to visit with us.
Thank you very much, and everybody's welcome, and we're here to serve at any level that's possible. Thank you.
We're talking with Senator Eliot Shapleigh, who's out here in the Valley with us today, telling us about some of the projects that are going on. We just saw some great horsemanship in the Charreada. How did you get interested in the Charreada tradition?
Well, this is one of the great traditions of the Valley. You know, the Valley people are close to the earth and close to the traditions of ranching and farming. So the Charreada comes very naturally to everyone in the Valley. So I got involved a couple of months ago, and this is the second one that they've done. And this has been going on about 10 years, so it's a great tradition.
We certainly have a lot of activities going on, quite a crowd that we've had today. This is one of many different things that are taking place in the Valley these days, and you've been instrumental in developing some different projects. What kinds of things are happening?
Well, we're focusing really around the missions, because the missions are the oldest things in the Valley, and the cultural history and traditions are around the missions. So the first mission that we're doing is the Socorro mission. We'll probably end up spending $2 to $3 million enhancing the mission, putting it back in its original condition, and making it really beautiful. If you drive on the mission trail now, you can see banners. We're going to do Rio Vista, which is the old, has a history of over 100 years. It was the Bracero farm for many years. It was also a four-person's farm in the turn of the century. So we've got that going, and then we're going to take care of San Lisario, so you'll see a lot of things happen in the Valley.
And this is all tied into the economic development of the area, travel and tourism. This is something that's really going to play an important role in the future of the Valley?
Well, I think the people of the Valley want to see these cultural icons preserved, first and foremost. They have been around since 1682, and so the idea is let's preserve them, and then around them, let's build the nucleus of a thriving economy, because if we can keep those traditions alive and we can keep them thriving, and they're the hearts of the communities in the Valley, then things can be built around them.
And where did you get your skills as a horseman? How did those develop?
Well, I grew up right over here. I grew up about 2 miles from here. I was down here every summer. We've had a farm in the Valley for over 100 years, and the first county surveyor was my great-grandfather. He lived in Clint, so I've had the tradition of the Valley for many years.
Well, that's great. Thanks for joining us today and telling us a little bit about what's going on here.
Glad to do it. Come on down.
El señor senador, sí, todo esto que estamos viendo no lo preparamos.
I want to welcome KBNA radio personality Jose Luis Garcia. He's going to tell us a little bit about the Charro tradition and Charreadas. Mr. Garcia, welcome to Along the Rio Grande, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Charro tradition. What is a Charro?
What is a Charro? Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for inviting me and having this opportunity to talk to the people. A charro is the outfit that I have, okay? Charro is a Mexican hat, the trajes, the pants, the chaparreras, which are the, what do you call it, the chaps, and riding the horses, taking care of the horses, taking care of the animals, that's a charro.
So they're in the cowboy tradition in a sense?
Yes. And you know, a charro started in a way of in a long time ago, in many years ago, a charro was more like in the reserve of the Mexican army. So they helped out in the Revolucion, and they used to, you know, carry their guns, their rifles, and all that. And that's the way the charro started. I know we have some gun shooting here today, but we have the shooters and the shady ladies out there performing.
So it's a matter of distinction to be a charro. It's
Yes.
not simply being a cowboy. It's something a little bit beyond that.
Yes, it is, to be a charro. And besides, you know, it is one of the only cultures and sports of Mexico, which is the charreadas and the charro.
How did the charreadas get started? What's the origins of that?
Okay, there's the history is we're going back into 1537, and as I have here my notes, in the range of the open range, the gran haciendas used to cattle up or round up their cattle to bring them in, and also their horses. So they decided to do a competition there between the charros of that hacienda. Later on, they decided to do hacienda versus hacienda. So it became a party, and it became a rodeo festival in between the haciendas, and it was a competition.
What kinds of competitions do we see? What kinds of events take place at a charreada?
In the charreada, there's 9 events that we see, which we call them suertes. Okay, the first one is cala de caballo. That's the first one to begin a charreada. And that's just to show the showmanship of the reins of a horse, the way a horse maneuvers, and it's almost like buying a car. You test drive a horse, and that's the way they would test drive them, or, you know, handle the horses. And they would show the way the horses were educated, okay? And that's what we see here, that, you know, they have to obey certain preliminaries to be qualified and all that. But it's a competition that it demonstrates what the horse can do with the charro.
Para el otro, y vemos que el caballo está abriendo el hocico, rabiando, espillando, y vamos a calificarlo. Ahorita regresamos con ustedes, mientras el jinete del caballo se va hacia atrás. Vámonos.
And what other events take place during the charreada?
That's one of the first ones. The second one would be piales en el lienzo, what they call piales, lassoing the hind legs of a mare when it's running. And that's through velocity, and there's a lot of charros that have lost their fingers because that thing, I mean the horses or the mares run so fast when you tie their hind legs and then you tie it on the head of the saddle. I mean, the loop of the rope just goes so fast that it's like a jigsaw.
Aquí está Enrique. Manda su lazada y no lo acompaña la suerte y se lleva.
The other event would be Las Colas. Las Colas is the third event. The Colas is bull tailing. You go on your horse and try to get the bull or the novillo and get the tail of it and just knock him down. And depends how the animal falls on the sides. And he's never hurt that way. I mean, he just falls on the side and he gets points for that. I mean, the charro. But that's on a competition. And then you'll go from the colas, you go into what is called the terna. They close the ruedo, and they'll do a bull riding. They'll do a jineteo, a bull riding, and then right after that, the charros will lasso the head and the tail of the bull, which is a terna.
Déjenlo solo, déjenlo solo. Mucha gente en el ruedo, señores. ¡Vámonos, vamos afuera! Además de ser muy buen charro, es millonario y soltero. Y manda un lazo de contamiento. Y no depende del cabecero para que pueda entrar. ¿Ya entró? ¡Ya entró! Y ahora sí, para abajo. Ahí está. Pedro Castro, el solterón millonario. Hasta que rinda costillar y paleta. Ahora sí, lo pueden limpiar de su
After the terna, you go into what is called the jineteo de yeguas, which is bronc riding. Okay, and we have 2 or 3 mares that the charros ride. Right after that, they'll start doing manganas a pie.
Ahí va la yegua. Con dedicatoria estas manzanas. Ahí está Carlos. Una bonita pasada, un resorte, una pasada más, otro resorte.
Final one is the Paso de la Muerte, which is the path of death, where the charros, you know, just jump from one horse to the other bareback and with velocity. So, and that's also judged, and that's the final event that takes place on the Charreadas. The judges, they qualify the charros on all aspects. I mean, if they have their bow and tie, their sombrero, their chaps, everything has to be in its place so that they can qualify the charros with the points that they need. Plus, you know, if they do certain types of movements with the floreo, with their lasso, they get points for that, and there's some additional points that the charros get.
So they're looking at the appearance, they're looking at the technique, they're looking at the style. All of these things come into place in judging, and it's a point system that they use?
That's absolutely correct, yes. We've had on the charreadas of the competitions of the Federation up to 350 points on the whole team. So it depends, you know, you can make up to 20-some points on certain suertes, which is the paso or whatever, and you get about up to 25 or 30 points.
Now, I understand it's not just cowboys that we'll be seeing, but the ladies play a role in this as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that tradition?
Absolutely. It's almost like a drill team, female drill team, riding on a side saddle, okay, a side saddle on the horses. And what they do a lot of maneuvers with their horses, movements that form an X, the bow. They form the quicksand, which is called also el pantano. And then they have las encajonadas, which is also the spider that they call it. There's different movements that the escaramuza charra do and maneuver, and there's 8, sometimes to 9 girls riding those horses. They have their sombreros, they have their beautiful dresses, but they side saddle, which is interesting.
En el nombre sea del Todopoderoso, del superhombre que nos permite hacer de la fiesta un gozo. Y tú, Señor, te sientes orgulloso. Y ahí está esa hermosa luna y esa hermosa estrella para aplaudirles a este ramillete de Amazonas. Y nos vamos con las jaras. Viene a toda carrera, pasa una y pasan todas.
We're visiting with Blanca Cano, one of the escaramuzas that's performing here today. Maybe we can start out by telling us what an escaramuza is.
Okay, hello everyone. There's so many ways to describe what an escaramuza charra is, but I think my favorite one is people have compared it to ballet on horseback because of our traditional costumes, and we always perform with the background, music on the background. And I think, you know, I guess its translation is equestrian side saddle drill team.
But it ties in with this musical background, and it's really a performance. It's an artistic performance as much as a competition. How did you get involved? How did you get involved in this? What's your training or background?
Okay, that'll say how old I am. No. Well, actually, I'm from a third generation, and my father was a charro, my grandfather, and basically ever since a little girl, I remember being part of this wonderful, I guess now you could call it a sport, but more than anything, it's a tradition. It's a lot of culture, and our main purpose as, you know, our purpose here is to preserve that tradition and carrying, you know, over here in the United States, which is a great opportunity for us.
Sure, and this is all part of a Mexican tradition and a Western tradition, and a tradition that's really been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years. In this.
There is also a competition between escaramuzas charras. The ones that we have here are las potrancas. We've had number one escaramuzas, which are las zapatistas, and there's other escaramuzas en Juárez, which are las norteñitas. There's so many.
What's the difference between a charreada and a rodeo? What happens there?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you compare the rodeo and the charreadas, there's a lot of similarity, lots of it, because you're looking at a charro riding a horse, a cowboy riding a horse, bronc riding, which is the el jineteo de yeguas, bull riding, which is el jineteo de toros, lassoing, the head and the tail. So there's a lot of things that are similar to the rodeo, and we sometimes call it the Mexican rodeo. Okay.
Is a charreada in Mexico different than a charreada that we'd see in El Paso or in New Mexico?
It's very similar. There's only one detail there that here in the United States, because of the animal protection, they controlled and they passed the law that we cannot lasso a mare and put her down, okay? Pull the lasso and put her down. If we do, we could get fined. But in Mexico, they still continue with that tradition. And the only thing is that, you know, the mare doesn't get hurt. Absolutely. What happens is that it gets tripped and it falls on their side. And they thought it was very dangerous here, so they prohibited that.
And some of our viewers are probably interested how you got involved in this. How did you get connected with the charreadas?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very happy and I feel very proud being part of the charreadas. I was almost born on this because since I was born, my father started us as a trio, which was Los Hermanitos Garcia. We started singing with charro outfits and mariachi outfits. And then later on, that's where I started to love the horses because of my families. That their tradition was, you know, it had to do with horses and cattle and all that. So
this is in your blood, and this is something you've been living all your life, and you've become one of our local authorities on it.
Plus, I've been singing songs of my dad, and those songs reflect, you know, being a charro, being a singer, being the horses and all that. The mariachi is one of the main musics that we play or that we hear at the charreadas. But also the bandas. We have bandas. A banda comes way back in the beginnings, even before the mariachi. And as you know, the bandas are just groups of people that perform their instruments. I would say they're wind instruments because they didn't have any strings back then. So those are the bandas. And then we have the mariachis that perform their songs. Plus, we do have a lot of mariachi singer entertainers, ballet folclóricos, which we love to have also at the charreadas. So as you can see, it's a little bit of everything. It's cultural, tradition, and it's something wonderful. I want to thank you for being out here, and we want to welcome you back whenever you want to come back and enjoy the charreada.
Se abre la puerta y ahí viene el jinete. Ahí está, aguantándole los reparos. Agárrense, charro. Se le está quedando como los buenos jinetes. ¡Oh, charro! No se rompa, charro, no se rompa. Una hermosa yegua, mira más. El hombre que se llama el club de los caballos. Él prepara caballos charros, los prepara para el espectáculo y ellos se realizan para la piernas, brinca inmediatamente y dice por ahí un dicho, ojalá y que nunca mueran esos hombres de a caballo para que siga nuestra tradición.
We certainly want to thank Trini Lopez, Senator Shapleigh, Blanca Cano, and of course Jose Luis Garcia for telling us all about the Charreada tradition today and explaining a number of interesting things about the heritage here in the El Paso area. I hope you all learned something about the Charreada, and we want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time on Along the Rio Grande.